Hello, class, and welcome to Living in Faith Together. This week we're going to be looking at how we develop our spirituality and our moral reasoning skills within life. This, of course, has to do with developmental psychology as well as spirituality, so there's a good meld in here, I think, for this week. So I want to start off by first thinking in terms of where you are in your moral maturity. Now, because most of you will be in the adolescent phase, the independence that comes with adolescence requires independent thinking as well as the development of morality. And morality really are the standards of behavior that are generally agreed on within a culture to a right or proper way of doing things. Now, just as Piaget, who we'll talk about this week, believed that children's cognitive development follows specific patterns, a Harvard researcher by the name of Lawrence Kohlberg in the 1980s argued that children learn their moral values through active thinking and reasoning, and that moral behavior follows a series of stages. Now, to study moral development, Kohlberg posed moral dilemmas to children, to teenagers, to adults. And I'll just give you a few examples of this. So in Europe, a woman was near death from a special kind of cancer. There was one drug that the doctors thought might save her. It was a form of radium that a druggist in a small town had recently discovered. The drug was expensive to make. The druggist was charging 10 times what the drug cost him to make. He paid $400 for the radium and charged $4,000 for a small dose of the drug. The sick woman's husband, Heinz, went to everyone he knew to borrow the money and tried to every legal means, but he could only get together about $2,000, which is half of what it cost. He told the druggist that his wife was dying and asked him to sell it cheaper or let him pay him later. But the druggist said, "No, I discovered the drug and I'm going to make money from it." So, having tried every legal means, Heinz gets desperate and considers breaking into the man's store to steal the drug for his wife. And then there are some responses, some issues that are asked. Should Heinz, for example, steal the drug? Why or why not? Is it actually right or wrong for him to steal the drug? Why is it right? Why is it wrong? Does Heinz have a duty or obligation to steal the drug? Why or why not? Those are some questions that are explored within this. And it isn't that Lawrence Kohlberg is looking for a right or wrong answer, but how do people work through the moral dilemma? And what he came up with were some very basic moral stages that people tend to go through, developmental moral stages, and based upon the ways that people think. So, young children will typically go through the moral stage of pre-conventional morality, and the description of this is basically that until about the age of 9, children will focus on self-interest. And at this stage, punishment is avoided and rewards are sought. A person at this level will argue the man shouldn't steal the drug, as he may get caught and go to jail. Now, normally what will happen for older children, for adolescents, and for most adults are that they find themselves in conventional morality. And that is by early adolescence, the child begins to care about how situational outcomes impact others and wants to please and to be accepted. So at this developmental stage, people are able to value the good that can be derived from holding to social norms in the form of laws or less formalized rules. For example, a person at this level may say he should not steal the drug, as everyone will see him as a thief. And his wife, who needs the drug, wouldn't want to be cured by thievery. Or, no matter what, he should obey the law because stealing is a crime. And then there are some of those most mature of adults that move into that rare stage of post-conventional morality. And at this stage, individuals employ abstract reasoning, something that takes time to develop through adolescence, to justify behaviors, to understand behaviors. And moral behavior then is based on self-chosen ethical principles that are generally comprehensive and universal, such as justice, dignity, and equity. Someone with self-chosen principles may say the man should steal the drug to cure his wife and then tell the authorities what he has done. He may have to pay a penalty, but at least he has saved a human life. Now, although researchers have supported Kohlberg's idea that moral reasoning changes from an early emphasis on punishment and social rules and regulations to an emphasis on more general ethical principles, as with Piaget's approach, Kohlberg's stage model can be argued to be too simple. For one, children may use higher levels of reasoning for some types of problems, but reverse to lower levels in situations where doing so is more inconsistent with their goals or beliefs. And so what is moral reasoning? Essentially, moral reasoning is thinking about other people and considering the welfare of others in the circumstances of a situation. And so it takes a high degree of abstract thinking, of perspective taking, and reasoning in order to understand a situation and to transfer yourself into that situation. And so, in essence, the foundation of moral reasoning is empathy. And that is why you will often find that a sociopath, the core of sociopathy is not caring for people. But in caring for people and having moral reasoning, we are interested in the welfare of others and considering that within the situation. And that is what Kohlberg is finding, is that the ability to reason morally goes through various developmental stages. And not everybody reaches the highest stages of post-conventional reasoning. Children are very much pre-conventional in their thinking, in that they're very interested in themselves and caring for themselves and in avoiding punishment. Conventional thinking is where most teenagers and adults are, where you are following rules, but not necessarily thinking about the welfare of others. And so it's a rules-based and social group-based way of thinking. Post-conventional reasoning, Kohlberg would say, is where we are considering the principles of caring and perspective-taking and the consequences of caring for and engaging others. And so Jesus, in the Gospel of Matthew, when he lays out the golden rule, do to others as you would have done for yourself, is in essence a description of that Colbertian post-conventional moral reasoning. And it's roughly equal to what a Jewish rabbi Hillel, a rough contemporary of Jesus, said, as well as what the great Eastern political philosopher Confucius said. And they both have essentially said, do not do to others what you would not approve being done to yourself. In essence, moral reasoning is caring for others, being supportive of others. And overall, it has to do with empathy, caring for others. And so, an effective deployment of the golden rule requires not treating everyone as if they were identical to yourself, which would be a very selfish way of thinking, but rather of acting and thinking as if you were them, as if you were different from yourself in all the ways that they are different from you, in their abilities, in their knowledge, in their preferences, in their circumstances, and so on. And this, in fact, follows the rule itself. You would not want done to you what someone else likes done to them, but that you do not like done to you. Therefore, you would want others to consider your perspective in deciding how to treat you. Therefore, you ought to consider their perspective in deciding how to treat them. And that is the essence of the golden rule that Jesus taught us. And that is the essence of post-conventional moral reasoning as outlined by Kohlberg. And so it's something for us to strive for, to think and practice thinking in that post-conventional way, recognizing that our brains are continuing to develop until the age of 25, and so it's going to be very difficult for us to think morally in that higher order of post-conventional moral reasoning. But as we work through our lives to be a better version of ourselves, we will eventually develop the habit of thinking and caring for others and empathizing with others, and that makes the world just a little bit of a better place. And that's what I'm going to leave you with today. You take care. Bye-bye.